Hey, it's Sebastian Park. I run Clutch Gaming, and so I'm here to answer your questions. Sure. So I mean, for us right now, the most important thing is to make sure that our players are comfortable. Our organization's player first in a lot of different ways, and that includes making sure winning is a priority and playing is a priority. I think we're underrated often because a lot of narratives that have been created around our team. It's funny to hear, they call it the line, or they call it our ability to beat better teams or worse teams. And I think our guys are going to show them up, and they're going to show them wrong, and that we can do a lot more than what people expect of us, which is a great place to be. From a content side, we're actually putting together a lot of new content right now, and we're going to be pushing for all the stuff that you guys want. So if you have ideas or if you have thoughts of things that we can do and content you guys want to see from Clutch Gaming, let us know. Let us know on Twitter, Instagram, wherever, and we read everything, so we'll totally be in touch. Something that really surprised me about League of Legends more so than other esports. I've been in esports for a few years now, and so I've had the chance to work in Dota and Hearthstone and Counter-Strike a little bit, and a couple of StarCraft, for example. And all of those games have scenes that are more, major-based. They're more event-based. They're more you practice for a couple of weeks, you grind, you play the event, you have 6 games to prove yourself, then you play the playoffs and you go home. League of Legends has a almost like NFL-like feel. There's a rhythmic pattern to it, and you're really going day in and day out trying to make sure, hey, can we win this game? Can we get to the next level? Can we prepare for our Saturday match, our Sunday match? And it's sort of a different feel, and especially when weeks 5 and 6 came around, it was important to make sure our players and our coaches and our staff were focused in on, hey, we've done well so far, or hey, we haven't done well so far, let's just make sure that we're playing every game as it is, because every game, Game 1 and Game 18 are about the same amount of importance. So, if I were TSM, would I have banned Thresh? Probably. I think banning Thresh makes a lot of sense there, just to get people off their comfort heroes, or champions rather. I think one of the interesting things there is that Morgana is sort of a soft counter to Thresh, and so I can understand the logic of, hey, let's push them in a position where they feel as though they can play their best champions, and then we can go from there. There are really 2 ways people approach being down a game in a series, especially when the series is about to end like in a best of 5. You either have to game plan it such that you have to win every game as is, and so you just draft whoever the strongest thing is at that moment, or you try to put your opponent into the corner. Given that we were the 6th seed, we would have to draft red side game 5. So if they could eliminate the ability for us to play Thresh, or eliminate the ability for us to play Swain, then it's probably the case that we would be on our back foot game 5 and they'd be heavily favored. As it turns out, Swain and Thresh are really good. Yeah, so I mean, so the University of Houston's great. We've heard from Rice, we've heard from a lot of the universities in the Houston area. Houston is really where the roots of Clutch Gaming started at, so we're really involved in the community right now. Come down to our viewing parties. Like, let our guys know that you want us at your university, and we'll make something happen in the next year or 2. Sure, so people ask me all the time how to get into esports. And one of the craziest things about esports is that it's a nascent industry. There are a lot of positions out there. There are a lot of people who can do really cool things in esports. But the most important thing for everyone to have is a skill. And if that means you're interested in player operations or player development or coaching and whatnot, that's a skill you can develop on your own or through independent teams or smaller teams. But if you want to, for example, work on business development or sales or marketing or PR or content creation, develop that skill. It's important that you develop that skill, you have the passion, the 2 things tend to merge together into a really cool job. So I've been really fortunate to get into esports about almost 5 years ago now, back when people weren't really doing that much in esports. I'd worked in tech. I was out in San Francisco working on startups, trying to figure out how to cross-compile iOS to Android, and doing user acquisition for companies like Namecheap. And then esports was this thing that I really enjoyed, really thought it was awesome, wanted to be a part of the industry, but didn't really think that would amount to something that was as large as this. It's been a crazy ride because I went from sponsoring esports to working for a small independent team to working for a larger independent team to eventually getting a call from Daryl and Tad and the Houston Rockets to come out and join the Houston Rockets for their esports organization. Hopefully we can, in the next few years, we can win a bunch of championships and bring them back to Houston and really grow Clutch Gaming as a team that can live up to its Houston Rockets roots and have a consistent history of winning. And that is pretty much what we're going to say we're going to try to do. Beyond that, it's really hard to project beyond 2 years. I gotta say, two and a half years ago, the thought that professional sports teams would be involved in esports was sort of crazy. It still feels a little crazy. And so for me to say I know where I'm going to be in 2 years would be really just talking out of my you-know-what. So when people ask us about high school and college players, we actually don't care about your age that much, right? So we care that you're old enough to play in the LCS, which I think the age cutoff is about 17 years old right now. And so if you're younger than that, we still are interested, but we still can't hire you onto a team right away. But we're keeping an eye out for people like you. Beyond that, it's just a matter of your ability, right? It's hard to say whether or not age has a direct correlation to ability like it does in traditional sports. So in football or baseball or basketball, it's often the case that your age is pretty correlatory to how good you could be or how good you are. In esports, we haven't quite seen that yet. So you have people in high school who are better than pros right now, then you'll be found out and we'll be looking for you and we'll be knocking on your door. But at the same time, it's also the case that if you've been trying to become a professional for a number of years and you're not quite making the leap, you may never make the leap. We just don't know quite yet. And so because we don't know, we spend a lot of time looking at everything, and then hopefully in the future we'll be able to narrow it down to whether it be high school or college or whatever. Thank you to everyone for coming out to the AMA and asking questions on Reddit. Follow us on Twitter at Clutch Gaming and on Instagram. And if you have any questions for us or the organization, you can find me on Twitter at Sebastian Park. And hopefully we'll hear more from you soon, and you'll hear more from us.